Are you tired of watching shows that only give you general social media theory and expect you to figure out how to apply it to your own industry? Join us for this week's episode of Social Chatter, the industry's longest-running social media marketing news talk show. Not only will you learn the latest breaking news, but you'll also gain practical advice on how to apply it. Now here's your host, Karasiewicz.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing news talk show. I'm Karasiewicz, CEO and founder of socialchefs.com. And we're excited to welcome you to episode 200. And let me make sure I got the number right. I think this is 298, right, Sarah? So 298, inching closer to that magical 300 number. I've been doing this for quite a few years, as you can tell from our intro video. But really excited. There's always something new going on every single week in social media. I mean, like literally, before the show, we had other news that also came in. So we're always trying to cover the latest breaking news to help keep you on the cutting edge of digital marketing. So with that, I'm going to go and bring on Sarah Monroe. And for those who don't know Sarah, she's my co-host on Social Chatter. And we are going to kick things off with some Facebook news this week. So, Sarah, it's fantastic having you join us yet again.
Hey, yes, yeah. Happy July 1st, or as I'm saying, 2021 and a half. We're at the halfway mark through the year. And of course, social media does not stop with the changes. So I'm sure we're going to see a lot of news in this next week.
By the way, just a couple of quick notes here. Yeah, so Sarah, so Letitia's saying, she loves my setup. I did make a few adjustments here, by the way, and these were literally made this morning. So, you'll see things are a little different. I got rid of my background I had. I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to go with the physical set. We're going to make some more tweaks to this and things like that. But just wanted to say thanks a lot, Letitia, for that comment. So who do we have this week, Sarah, in the, I want to say maybe it's the hot seat, I guess. Who's our guest this week?
Our guest joining the conversation this week is Fain Brandt. And she describes herself as an expert in connecting and cultivating your networks, your professional networks. But she adds that third C, which is really, really important. And that's convert. So how do you cultivate great connections that actually convert into relationships and business? And let's bring her right on. So welcome, Mary.
Hello, good morning. You guys know it's like 7 a.m. where I'm at. So I had to get up extra early to do this. And for Christian, I'm here for you, dude. Sarah, thank you so much for that introduction. I'm excited to be here. I love the show. Great. Great to be here. Great to learn what's going on in the social media world because it changes friggin' daily or hourly and it's hard to keep on track of it. So this show gives you, the high level of what's going on.
Fantastic. So
exactly.
Thanks so much for joining us. And yeah, sorry about the early call time.
For you, again, dude. For you.
We do give people, by the way, a window and we have had people book it sometimes they they want the much later time because they're on, on the West Coast.
I didn't see that option.
Sometimes they're,
you got the latest
just make
one,
a special
actually.
request and we'll get you on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look how big my.
Whoa, that is quite the big mug. I mean.
It was only filled to here though.
I think my mug is the size of the bottom part of your mug.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And it's empty.
Oh.
So
sad.
Sarah, I'm going to turn it over to you. Let's kick things off and let's talk about what's new this week. What do we have going on in social media land here?
Right. So what's new this week? We picked as our top item of the week. Of course, things changed Wednesday night, right? That's how fast social media news is moving these days. So this week we chose as our top item Facebook Bulletin, which is a subscription service for Facebook. So what they've done is they've selected, they've handpicked experts. So these are public figures, journalists, academics, experts in certain fields that you can subscribe to. So trusted content, they vetted these folks. Right now, it's only in the US. It is a beta version of it. And what you do is you subscribe to it. So some subscriptions are free. Some subscriptions are a hybrid, so you can get some content. And then there will be some more exclusive content that you can pay for. And what that does is supports the creator. So Facebook is letting you use Facebook Pay to subscribe to these. They're not taking any cut. They're saying that we're not taking any part of that cost at launch, which means maybe that leaves the door open for maybe they will. But really what I've looked through is you're able to subscribe to folks, and then there's more features behind a paywall. So it's really going to give you a chance to get a news feed from people that you really want to hear about and really want to follow. So this, when you subscribe, it actually becomes an email that's sent to you. You can't get to this through Facebook. So that's an important thing to think about. If you want to find it, you have to go to bulletin.com. Facebook actually has a different logo for this, which to me makes me think, oh, they're going to create a separate app. It's not in the App Store yet. I checked this morning, but I would be surprised if they don't create a separate app for Bulletin. But so far, I actually have to say it's pretty cool that you can find some of these great people that you want to hear from and see what's on their mind and what kind of content they're creating.
Definitely, yeah. And so this feature, I mean, it's pretty neat. The fact that Facebook's rolling out this Bulletin app, as you mentioned, it is very different from the normal Facebook look. It's like a dark green, I think. So it's
totally off brand for them.
The logo is different. I mean, there's so much stuff here that's very different on Bulletin.
Christian, you know what it reminds me of? If I just interject.
Oh yeah, sure.
LinkedIn newsletters.
Mm-hmm.
It's Facebook's version of LinkedIn newsletter, because LinkedIn newsletter, you get that delivered when you subscribe. You get that delivered in your email.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. They're saying that some Bulletin pieces may show up in your news section of your Facebook app. I didn't see anything this morning. I spent way too much time reading through the news on Facebook, which I have to say was pretty spot on as far as what they were offering me, which makes me think that Bulletin is going to be the same way too. So even the first few creators that they suggested for me, I thought were right on, and I subscribed immediately to one of them. So it's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, Malcolm Gladwell, of course, is the first one, but there are lots of people in science and technology. They've done a great job in finding some diverse voices too, right out of the gate, which I really appreciate. If you are a creator and you're thinking you can get into Bulletin right now, it's closed. They've selected the group that they're going to use for the beta testing, and that's it for right now. So
what do you guys think? I mean, if I'm a business, like, is this, I mean, well, let's talk about it from two perspectives, a user and a business. If I'm a user, how does this help me?
Visibility, credibility. You're part of the elite. Like when something new launches, oh, Christian has access to that. He must be somebody. So that's one. And more visibility, right? It's another touch point to your audience. Okay. I think it depends on how you're using it and what you're considering news. Like, are you going to get, I mean, anything when it starts off, if you can get access to it, I'm like, go for it. Okay. Whether it lives or not, you have the opportunity to be, you know, in that new phase when everyone's like, ooh, what is that? Oh my gosh, Sarah has access to that. Right. So I think getting on board when any type of platform offers a new feature, like when LinkedIn Live came out, right? I jumped on, and thank God I did, because now it's hard to get it. Right. So I think jump on, test it out, see if it's going to work for you.
So what do you think, Sarah, in terms of a user?
I think as far as a user goes, if you're looking for some interesting, fresh content, if you want to follow some specific, I only went through just the first few suggestions that they had for me to follow. I think if you really want to pay attention to what some of these higher level experts in their industries are saying, I think it's a great way, because they are really handpicking. The people that they picked are pretty good, and they source their data. So that gives you an option to really trace down into more content if you want to use it, share it, improve your knowledge base.
So I'm going to go in. This is the Malcolm Gladwell page, by the way. So if you go to, in this case, he gets a URL, malcolmgladwell.bulletin.com, and so this is what his page looks like. And as you can see here, you've got, a couple of articles here. You can subscribe, obviously there's not a whole lot here. But again, it also comes down to, who the person is. A couple things this actually really reminds me of. It reminds me a lot of Medium, actually. Like very much like Medium. Maybe this is Facebook's move into Medium, and then they're also obviously borrowing some things from Twitter and Substack. Twitter has a product they bought called I think it was Review, I think, right? It was Twitter Review.
Yep. They just launched that a few months ago.
It was an acquisition. Yeah. So they acquired Review. And so basically it's a way for, writers to be able to make a better home on Twitter is their, tagline essentially. And so what I think is really fascinating about this is the fact that you mentioned this a minute ago, and it's the fact you said original content. And I have to say, I really hope this is going to be original content from people, because most of these people that are here, they don't publish a lot of content. For example, they're like, there's two, I guess, schools of thought that I guess I have here. The first school of thought is that they don't publish a lot of regular content. So they're very deliberate with with what they publish, I guess. So I'm not expecting like, oh, hey.
Are you thinking it's going to be like regurgitated content?
That's the other part that I'm actually wondering. Yes, with some of these.
Yeah. With their selection process, with the journalists and some folks that you may see more often in the news media, they cannot have a contract with another entity. So they have to be fully independent. So I think we will see. Can you find some of it? Maybe on Medium, or maybe on their own websites and on their own blogs. Maybe. I mean, it's a heavy lift to ask someone to create absolutely new things for a half dozen outlets.
Well, I mean, I guess, I don't know. Like I'm going to disagree on that one, actually. And I would disagree with that because these people are getting paid. And so they should be able to create original content for all of the platforms that they're on. Because, they've written books, for example, they've written articles. They're already really big online. I would expect them, because they're being paid, to be creating original content. For example, I'm going to bring up this Erin Andrews article here, for example. I don't know if I'd subscribe to this. Like, she's formerly, I think she was formerly with ESPN at one point as a reporter. She didn't write very much, actually. I mean, this is like, I don't know how many, like, this isn't a very long article, right?
But look further down, you can actually engage with her now. That's one thing that's going to be different with this. I mean, you can a little bit on some of the other blogging platforms too, but you get all of the fun tools that you're accustomed to with Facebook, and commenting and emojis and liking and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think, again, it's going to be nice that, people are going to be able to, like, essentially, if we look at it, public figures are going to be able to have another, platform to put their content out on.
So it's kind of like a blog. It's like the Facebook blogging. I mean, when you just said that, like. and people can comment. So it's like Facebook blogs. So is it going to be just noise in 60 days?
Right.
I think the true test is to come back and visit this in 60 days. What has it become?
Right. And what are the subscription levels too? Like, we can read a couple pieces from Malcolm Gladwell. What's the paid what is the exclusive content that I'm getting on the paid version of that?
Exactly.
And then the other side to this that I gotta say, this is going to be a concern for me. And it's the fact that, people are reading books, for example, by a lot of these people. And, the books are great, but I have noticed over time, as people have been able to self-publish, the quality has dropped dramatically. And it's because the book is no longer like what people are doing with most of their books they're publishing is their book is then just literally a sales pitch to get them into their website, to sign up for their
something to give away at a speaking
Right.
event. A book is not what it used to be 10 years ago.
Yes.
It is
Right.
your opt-in on your website sometimes,
Mhm.
or it's digital. It's not a hard copy. The financial investment is less. So more people are writing books.
Right. Exactly. And right. Exactly. And I want to bring up NLTMW's comment here. So creators going to be giving better. So creators going to give better content to Facebook Business Bulletin. I assume that's the FBB, rather than use it on their own pay to subscribe community. Again, brings up the same question that we have,
Right.
which is, do I want to subscribe to Bulletin? I'm glad these are additional channels, but some of these people, like, they've already got, websites, things like that. This is literally just it's getting them into, it's another vehicle, I think.
Right. And do you want to build that on your own website? Do you want to build this whole paid subscriber thing on your website, or do you want to test it out and see if it works before you start to build in this on your own property?
Yeah.
So I'm going to pay. So as a subscriber, I have to pay, or
yeah, you will have, like, some of
I'm
the
going to pay to read a blog.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That I can probably go find on LinkedIn or their website. I'm like, to me, if I have to pay for that, I don't see, I'm trying to wrap my head around that value.
Exactly.
Okay. Now that when you said paid, before I was like, okay, it's just another place for me to go and have to read and check in. But when you said paid, I'm like, is that where I'm going to spend my money to read a blog just because this person is known? For me, that doesn't work.
Right.
For me.
And, and I mean, I guess the way I guess I could see this going is if this was something that like, for example, you've got like New York Times, and you've got a lot of publications that people have to pay for to view. But again, that content also, do I need to pay for the New York Times, or can I go on 5 other websites that are also covering the same information and get that information? Very, very, very interesting. I mean, I don't know, anything else you want to add here? I mean,
well, I would say it's important to support good journalism. So pay for your New York Times.
Yeah.
And journalists who already are on staff at publications will not be part of Bulletin. So it's someone different. So it may be those correspondents that you see less frequently, like the Ronan Farrows, or some people who are more feature writers. This is a chance for them to publish and get paid for more content that they want to push out.
Yeah, this is going to be, I have to say, this is going to be very interesting. I'm going to pull up one last example. This is Mitch Album here. And I think I said that correctly, right, Sarah? So this is Mitch, and it's saying, hey, Mitch writes about running an orphanage in impoverished Port-au-Prince, Haiti. So, and these are the lessons he's learned there every day. Again, it still comes back to, I like the idea. I just wonder how original the content's going to be. It's going to be the same, playing off the same thoughts that the person has been already kind of doing for, years prior, or is this going to be completely brand new, unique content?
Right.
Yeah.
Or it's a way to give a little love to a creator that you followed for a long time. Like the Science Maven is there. And she's being showcased, and I've wanted to support her. This is a way that I can support her and elevate and advance her work as a BIPOC woman in STEM by giving her a subscription.
That makes sense. So yeah, you can show a little love to those that you already admire and respect. So like Mitch, I love his work.
Right. So it's like Patreon. Again, here we are with another piece. We had Facebook stars. We have other pieces on Twitter. There's lots of things that you can do. Super chat on YouTube. So now this is another way to pay a creator for their work and get exclusive access to their stuff.
Very, very interesting. I'm going to still go back to my, I think the jury's out on, I think the jury's still out on this in the
60 days.
Yeah.
It's another $5, $2. We're getting pecked to death with these little subscriptions everywhere. So
will be really interesting to see basically what ends up happening with Facebook Bulletin. But again, you can just go to bulletin.com. You can start to subscribe to a handful of hand-picked basically creators. And so, I mean, they're saying they're independent creators, but they're, I guess, not necessarily independent, because most of them have book deal, or, have probably have some sort of contract with another company besides Facebook. That's kind of, what they built their platform on. But very interesting product, bulletin.com from Facebook. Anything else you want to add on this, Sarah or Mary, or you want to move to the next topic?
I say let's move. Let's keep it moving forward. Let's keep it moving forward to YouTube. We've got a couple of pieces of YouTube news. The first one is for all of us who are doing these live streams, and that is that they're adding a participant mode. So you can select who's able to message you from your live videos. Now, Christian and I tested this. He can find this because he's got live stream videos going on the Social Chefs YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I have the channels that I manage. Some are for kids only, some are for nonprofits. We don't do live streaming, so we don't have this access. This is on a video level. Mm-hmm. And so you have to scroll down. Remember when we were talking a few weeks ago about where to turn off clipping? It's sort of in that area. So if you're on the details page of your video, you need to scroll down, see more information, and then you're going to get this participant mode. So you can let anyone send you messages, or you can let subscribers, and you can pick the amount of time that people have been subscribed to your channel. And Christian, I think this screenshot came from your account. And
it did, yes.
It's the only screenshot that I've seen that shows that little drop-down option. So this is really beating out the bots and the trolls. If someone wants to message you, they have to commit to your channel, and you pick how long that commitment is. So it can't just be a bot that's just racing through YouTube, or a troll that's just wanting to be hateful. So I think it's a really interesting way to cut down on the noise that we're getting in social media. And Mary, I'm sure for you, I mean, a lot of us, we get these random messages on every single platform that says, hey, it's so great to see you, or I just found your channel, and I'd love to tell you about how I can better edit your videos, or how I can do this, right?
I'm on board for this. I didn't even know that this was an option. So after this show, I'm jumping over. I'm going to, find it. I'm going to turn it on, because I get spam over on YouTube, and I can't even understand it. Like, it's in foreign code. Like, and some of it is sexual stuff. I'm like, I talk about LinkedIn and other business opportunities and stuff. So I love this for me. Right? I'm still building my YouTube channel. And yeah, you want to comment, then you need to subscribe.
Definitely. And I want to show you all this. So I did pull up. So I will say this. I looked through pre-recorded videos. I looked through previous episodes. For example, if you go to socialchefs.com/EP297, that'll get you to 297, which was last week's show. And I do not have participant modes on that. However, I'm going to this exact episode 298, just right now. And this is what I'm seeing here, basically. And so this is the participant mode section. And it's underneath the live chat option. It's underneath the message, above the message delay. And so here's how it works. So basically, anyone can participate and send a message with, here, let me see if I can zoom in on that. Let's try that. There we go. So this is the anyone option. So basically on this video, anyone can participate and send a message, or I could say subscriber only. And then when I check that option, this is where I get that drop down of options. So I could say subscribers who have any duration of length of being a subscriber. So like they literally could have just subscribed. I could set to 1 minute, 5 minutes, 1 minute, because what some people will do is they will subscribe and then they will unsubscribe, for example. Little tricks like that, because they want to get seen on your radar, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And if I pick custom, I can select a time frame from literally 1 minute all the way up to 60 minutes.
Now, is this commenting or is this messaging? My understanding is that it's messages.
It's just messaging.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's people to be able to send you messages. So they can have participants who can follow your channel for a set amount of time, and then they can send you messages. So I think this is actually a good thing, because, you don't necessarily want somebody to all of a sudden subscribe to your YouTube channel and then just start blasting you with messages, or just start blasting you with messages to begin with.
Right.
So instead, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, especially when you go live, there's a lot of these platforms, when you go live, you suddenly raise, and intentionally, the platforms want to push people going live to have this real-time interaction with accounts. And so you sort of raise to the top as far as the algorithms go. So you're featured as a live video. So what's great is that you don't get spammed while you're doing this live video. Right.
You want to have thoughtful comments, not random crap in the comments, right? Or messaging. Right. I'm sorry. You want to have thoughtful messages, that they put some thought behind it. It's not just like Letitia said, being asked to be someone's third wife. Like, hello, there's trolls on every platform. So I like that YouTube and other channels are starting to put in features where you have a little more control.
Definitely. Right. And NLTMW is asking, how does messages show up on the creator side? So basically, this may, by the way, maybe part of the community tab that's on the left side. So on the YouTube interface, there's a community side if you have that enabled, and then there's a messages tab. And then you can check the types of messages that you can get. For example, approved messages, filtered messages, and sent messages. So it could very well be tied to that. It doesn't say directly if it is. They're just calling it participant mode. So,
but those controls are on the detail tab of the video. Yep. You don't have to go to that left side column. It's within that more information.
Yeah. So very interesting. I mean, again, I'm looking at some really interesting comments here. I mean, so let's see, that was from Letitia's asking, what should I select for the minimum subscribe time? What do y'all think, by the way? Sarah, what do you think?
At least 5 minutes. Make them work for it a little bit.
Okay.
Really?
I agree. 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Christian, what do you think?
I would definitely say, I definitely wouldn't extend it out to like years, but you could essentially also, if you wanted to, you could create like some exclusive content and say, hey, you know what? I would even say maybe just a couple, like a day, maybe. I think I'd go for a day. And that's because I want to see if somebody's actually like essentially loyal. Like if they want to still be part of my channel, or like, you know what, they literally just subscribing, let it run its course and then, unsubscribing. So I'd probably go with something like that. So,
I think it depends on what you're getting too. And, to Letitia's point, I work with a lot of women-centric gender equity nonprofits, and the hate that we get, the messages and the negativity that we get, it's worth really looking at and saying, okay, people have to work for it if they want to message us. So let's cut down on this. So, and I don't think you see it with channels that are for kids. I don't see it on the channels with the content that I have for kids, because YouTube really restricts those interactions. So there are many videos that people can't even comment on because I have the channel settings for kids.
Yeah. And what I'm going to do, by the way, so, this is episode 298. What I'm going to do next week is I want to test and see if this is something that disappears or if it stays there. For example, because I only see it on the existing live stream. I didn't check any other option. I literally just put it up on, I just went in and edited the video and I saw it there and I was intrigued by it. I haven't seen anyone else talk about participant mode as well. So there was nothing else that I checked. It literally just showed up. So pretty fascinating feature. So Sarah, you mentioned we had some other YouTube news as well we wanted to talk about.
We do have YouTube news, and this is really important for anybody who uses unlisted videos, especially on exclusive content landing pages and things like this. So listen up if you use a lot of unlisted videos. YouTube, any videos that were posted as unlisted before January 1st of 2017 are going to be moved to private. So let's remember what unlisted means. Unlisted on YouTube means if anybody has the link, they can access that video. If it's private, you actually have to invite people and give people permission. So this means if you have a particular campaign with a video that's embedded on a web page, I know I do it for a lot of pieces. It means that video link is going to break if it's older than January 1st of 2017. Anything beyond that, YouTube has already updated some of the privacy settings. One of the things that they did and why they picked 2017 is that in 2017, YouTube made it much harder to guess unlisted video URLs because a lot of people were finding them just by guessing them. Using bots and machine learning to try to guess what the URL configuration is. Mm-hmm. So anything after 2017, you're golden, no problem. And if you want to opt out on your channel, if you follow that link that Christian tweeted out on the Social Chef's Twitter handle, if you go to that bit.ly link, it explains it, and it also gives you a form. So you can opt out your videos with that form. YouTube does recognize that taking this away may be a challenge for people who have a lot of unlisted videos that they use for maybe lead generation or exclusive content or something like that. So for that, use the form. Anybody else, go through your channel, just see if there's something that may be a problem. I was really worried about this. I use a lot of unlisted videos. And fortunately, the majority of them are newer than 2017.
Same here. When you said that, I was like, wait, what was that? Because I'm like, oh, we're going to be using them for something coming up. And I was like, uh-oh, but you said 2017, so I'm fine.
So, phew.
Yeah, and this is interesting. So, so if let's talk about this from the perspective of a business, I guess. So if I'm a business, how does this impact me, Sarah?
Okay, so we'll use an example, right? I have a landing page. I give away something for free on my website, right? It's on a particular page, but it's for someone who completes a form on my website. So they have to say, okay, I want this content. I get their contact information, their email, builds my email list, right? Then they get an auto respond email, right? And it has an unlisted YouTube video embedded in that page, right? So no one who hasn't given me their email can potentially get that URL. So that's exclusive content for someone in exchange for their email address, right? If that video is older than 2017, that link is going to break. It's not going to work anymore. You're going to have to either re-upload your video to YouTube. Who wants to do that? Complete the form to opt out if you have a lot of them, or rebuild your campaign.
Okay.
2017, that's quite some time ago. So I would think that anything, if you were doing some kind of opt-in like that, you would have redone it because it's dated, right?
Right.
And, for those of you who want to look and see what videos you do have that are unlisted, I mean, all you have to do is go to pretty straightforward. Just go to your YouTube channel. Again, I mean, you can go I'd go into YouTube Studio and then go under my videos. And then I would actually try to set a filter, actually. Let me see if I could.
Yeah, it's right down that center column. You can see what's private, what's public, what's.
Right.
Yeah.
For example,
that's helpful because a lot of people do that, Sarah. They, you record a training video. A 3-minute, 5-minute training video of a training course. You're like, hey, get module 1 free. And you do that and you put it up on YouTube, hoping, they're going to watch that. You're so awesome. They're going to buy your course or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So,
And for some things, like I have some event archive videos that are only available to people who bought tickets or who donated. So, I mean, for those, we had some awesome keynote speakers. So there may be some people who want to go back and listen to those pieces, especially as those speakers may move along in their life story. So when they die, right, people can say, oh, I really remember them and I want to hear that speech. But so there is some things that are older than 4 years, but some things are timeless. So there is some evergreen pieces that you may need to redo, like how to use, if you have a specific tool or something within your products that has a timeless tutorial video, you may need to make some changes there. Definitely. Or fill out the opt-out form.
Yeah. And I just went through like our videos, for example, and under my unlisted ones, I don't have any that are just native uploads. Let me check our live streams real quick, actually. And this is how quick it is. I mean, I'm literally doing this right now on the show.
Now you're going to make me want to do that, but I'm going to focus on the show.
So super easy. You just go to your YouTube channel. You go to the top right, go to Creator Studio, and then there's literally like you can just toggle between uploads and live, and there's a filter. Just click the filter button and then just say visibility and set it to unlisted, and you should be fine at that point. You should be able to see at least your videos, and you could go make some changes. Again, though, I do want to echo Letitia's comment, which says, most content from 2017 is no longer relevant. Very true. So
that's kind of how I feel, that if it's 2017, it's outdated.
Potentially, right. Yes, absolutely.
90% of it is going to be outdated. Even if it's a training tutorial, I feel like almost everything changes.
Yep. Very true. So, Sarah, I'm going to turn it over to you. I think we have one or two more topics. We're going to talk with Mary Fain Brandt.
Yeah. Let's run through these next two topics pretty quickly, right? Sure. One is Twitter has now given you the opportunity to share tweets to an Instagram story. So I love the humor in their announcement saying that you can now do this. The management, stop sharing screenshots of your tweets to Instagram stories. You can now just share it directly from the management. It begs the question, why and how often is this useful? So I didn't find the screenshots that Twitter provided useful. So actually we added a screenshot of a tweet of me trying to share this tweet to Instagram story because it didn't really show up on mine. So what you need to do is press below the tweet. You'll see the little up arrow, which usually means download, share, copy link, right? Right. And then you get that little drop down. It did some funky stuff the first time I tried it. The second time I tried it, it looked like this, and Instagram stories was really prevalent right there. So you could add it. I actually tried it. I added it to my Instagram story this morning. I thought maybe they're doing some kind of tracking. I mean, why else would Twitter build an integration like this if they didn't want to track what was going to an Instagram story? But once you're in Instagram story, you can't click on it. There's no functionality that somehow leaps you back to Twitter to see more of the content or something like that. But it's interesting. I think it's Twitter wanting to know how often this happens, right? Mm-hmm. To somehow measure engagement with a tweet. Otherwise, why would they? And I'd also say, why would you be sharing so many tweets to your Instagram stories either, too, right? There are two different ecosystems, two different user bases. Instagram users like Instagram and not Twitter. So it'll be interesting to see how often people use it. It's a cute little tool. You don't have to take a screenshot, but other than that, that's pretty much the news for that one.
In terms of Instagram stories, I mean, I will echo Sarah's, comments. And I think it's the fact that if I'm Twitter, I also they could be building something that's going to rival stories, for example. I think they already have Twitter fleets, right? So yep. They could be building something, though. They could be using it to, again, learn more about what their users are doing with their tweets. For example, they don't just want it to be this static place where these tweets just kind of live. They want to also they do want to be, I guess we'll say a little bit inclusive here about pushing it out to Instagram stories, but they probably are tracking or doing something like that on the back end. Mary, what do you want to add?
So I'm not a big Twitter user. I know that's really going to irritate Christine Gritman if she's watching. So I have a Twitter account and we were using it. And to be honest, I'm just like, I can't be on every platform. That's not me. Mm-hmm. My channel is LinkedIn. Yeah. I am all over LinkedIn and I use Facebook and I dabble in Instagram. So
yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting if Instagram cuts it off too. Instagram cuts off a lot of third-party apps or they take away different functionality. So it'll be interesting if they start to see this happening a lot, if they just cut off that little pipe.
You know why I can't use Twitter is that short, I have a lot to say and I never, to get my thoughts on that little tiny string with some hashtags is challenging for someone like me. So I got to play on the platforms that work better for me.
Right. And I hate it when I see on Twitter just the Instagram link. It's just a little bit of text and then the Instagram link. I'm like, come on. At least write a tweet out and then use the link. Don't just do the automatic tweet. It's called very lazily.
And if you're that lazy, I don't need to know you.
I don't need to follow you on Twitter. Right?
Yeah.
I'll go to Instagram where clearly you're writing things. So yeah.
Very fascinating. Yeah. So that's some of the Instagram news this week. And then I think we have one more thing, right, Sarah?
Yes. Everybody's all aflutter about Instagram testing, posting from desktop. So what's some iOS users are finding is that they are getting a little plus sign that's going to appear between the message and the compass. And I actually have a screenshot of showing me not having this functionality because I am a Windows user, where the icon will show up is between the message, the little message arrow widget, and the compass for discovery. So you'll have a little plus sign there and you'll be able to add, you'll be able to post to your Instagram feed from there. And you're supposed to get all of the fun functionalities like the filters and the tagging and all that kind of stuff.
And I think you're talking about this, right? Let me see if I can draw it. Let's see if this works. By the way, I'm testing this out. I'm not sure this is going to work.
We're testing out, we talked about this. Actually, what Christian is testing is Canva presentations. We're actually finally testing them live. And so, it's going to show up right between message and... Let
me see if I can draw on screen. Right around here, I think. Oops. Yeah, it's not going to let me actually draw.
It's not going to let you do it live. Well,
but hey.
We've got a little... Canva tutorial at the same time with this. So it's going to be interesting. For me, I would say use Creator Studio. Creator Studio is awesome. And Business Suite now has Creator Studio integrated in it. If you're not using something like Agora Pulse or Sprout Social or any of the other services that let you post to different social media platforms, Creator Studio is awesome. And I have to say, I think I've been on the late bus with it, but I just discovered this morning that Creator Studio has its own app for iPad, which is awesome. Yeah, I was looking up to see if there was a Bulletin app from Facebook and was looking at all the Facebook company apps, and I found Creator Studio there. I'm like, geez, my life could have been so much easier this last year if I had Creator Studio on my iPad. But yeah,
I'm a big desktop user. Part of it is because I really have to wear these to try to type anything on this little tiny screen.
Yeah.
Like that just gets hard for me. And, everyone that knows and loves me, they'll be like, Mary, there's a typo over there. So for me to do anything that's thought provoking, if it's just a quick, easy personal post on Instagram, I can do that. But if I'm doing a business post, I really have to, desktop is better for me, but I do use Agora Pulse, right? So that makes it easier for me to see what I'm typing.
Right.
Make sure those hashtags are right. Cause I'm like this on my phone. That's a little harder.
Yeah. For me, it's the O and the I. I have typos with if instead of instead of on all the time. Who doesn't? But
who doesn't?
So anyway, Instagram has been moving toward more desktop usage, recognizing that I think especially during the pandemic, more and more people were using desktop and less on mobile devices. And we appreciate the bigger screens. So
yeah. And those 20-year-olds that are watching, those 25-year-olds, you're going to appreciate that bigger screen too in another 10, 15 years. So just saying that.
By the way, I want to answer a question real quick from Coach Erica here. She's asking how to use Creator Studio on desktop. I did drop the link. It's business.facebook.com/ just go to just click on the link that I just posted. It's quite a long URL. It's business.facebook.com/ Creator Studio. And then there's some additional piece to the end. But if you just go to business.facebook.com/ Creator Studio, that will then give you the option to toggle between Instagram and Facebook. So.
And there's a faster way too. If you look at the top banner of your Facebook page, there are those 9 little dots. We got the little quilt look to it. If you click on that, and you'll see Creator Studio in the list of options right there. So you can go to memories, save stuff. I have to say,
you mean these. Okay. Yes.
I haven't really used that menu a lot. And again, the late bus, right? I didn't know
those 9 dots were for that.
That's
a shortcut.
What they are.
I'm clicking on it right now. I was like, oh, I see the little 9 dots. Oh, well, look what comes up.
Look at everything is there.
Let me pull this up real quick, and so we can show you all what this looks like. So it looks like this. So if you're on the Facebook, this is Facebook on the desktop. These are the 9 dots. By the way, I initially went to these.
That's not 9.
Nope, you need the 9 dots.
And so we go there, and then we can either search for Creator Studio, or we can simply just scroll down, and it's under, interestingly enough, professional Creator Studio. So if you're using Facebook Creator Studio, I guess you're now a professional Facebook user, but you can access Creator Studio there as well. And then that's going to give you the option at that point when you go here to access Creator Studio. You could also just bookmark it, things like that. Yeah. So that's how to access that.
And it's interesting. Yours falls further down. Mine is further up. And that might be because, Christian, I think you're an Agora Pulse user a lot. I use Creator Studio a lot. So I think Facebook sort of repositions my menus.
I just searched it like Christian did because I don't know where it was. So just searching it brought it up. I'm now looking at Creator Studio. I have no idea what to do with it, but I'm totally going to go play with it because why not?
Mary,
Exactly.
I will happily have coffee with you after this and show you how to use Creator Studio. I love it.
That would be fabulous, Sarah.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Fantastic. Awesome. Always up for making connections, helping everyone during the show. So, we got a little bit of time here left. I'm going to turn it over to Sarah. You've got some questions, I think, for Mary Fain Brandt.
I do have some questions. And it kind of ties into what we just said. We're making connections here, right? We're making connections right now in front of everybody who's watching us. And a lot of the work that you do is about cultivating connections. So let's start with the big picture. With what does it mean to cultivate connections, especially through social media?
Yeah, especially through social media. So my 3C method is connect, cultivate, convert. And we're going to get to that last C in just a minute, you guys. So hang on. So when you connect with someone on LinkedIn, you should always send a personal note with that connection request. You shouldn't just hit the connect button hoping that they're going to connect with you. So the cultivating actually starts when you go to connect with someone. Send them a personal note and let them know why you're connecting with them. And a true story is, as I was scrolling through LinkedIn years ago, this guy's profile, he came up and I looked at it and there's a picture of him in front of this car and his headline. So like your title, you might call it your title, but it's your headline on LinkedIn. It said, recruiter, talent manager, awesome dad, and possibly Batman. And it was just because of that. So I sent him a connection request with a personal note like, hey, I just want to know, are you possibly Batman? And why are you an awesome dad? I just made it very personal and he connected and we've remained friends and colleagues and we refer people back and forth to each other. So it doesn't have to be this big message when you ask someone to connect with you. Make it personal. I like your background banner. I see, that you volunteer at a senior center. I have a passion to helping the elderly. What is it that you can connect with them? And sometimes it's like, hey, I just like the work that you're doing. Or, hey, you're putting out amazing content. I'd love to connect with you. So that cultivating starts when you go to connect with someone. Then you have to continue to cultivate the relationship. So if anyone is married, and you're watching the show and you're married, just put an M in the comments. I have a question for you guys. On your first date, did you get engaged? That answer is probably no, right? I'm pretty sure it's no. So if you don't get engaged on the first date, why, when someone connects with you, would you send them a sales message? Why do you go from dating? Because cultivating is like, cultivating a relationship online is kind of like the courting process, right? You're dating someone. You're getting to know them, what they like, what they don't like, who they are. Because you guys, behind every profile, there's a person. You have to remember that. We have to bring back the H to H factor, human to human. There's someone behind the profile. Treat them as a human and not just a picture or just a profile on LinkedIn. Get to know someone. So the cultivating is getting to know, hey, Christian, I know that you do live streaming. What are your favorite platforms? You know, and it doesn't, we're using StreamYard. We both happen to love StreamYard, but it could be like, hey, what are your favorite tools? I'm looking to upgrade. Christian, what part of the country are you living in? Hey, where is the best place that you want to go, like for coffee where you live? Because I saw, you know, buy a coffee, support them by buying a coffee. Cultivating the relationship means putting some effort into it and getting to know the person. And then when we go to convert, so we connect, cultivate, convert. Now I want to change your mindset on what that word convert means. You're probably thinking, okay, Mary, how do I convert them into a client? I want you to change convert to client to convert to opportunities. We have to rethink what the word, when we say convert, we think clients. I want you to think convert into opportunities. What opportunity is right here by meeting this person? Like Sarah and I just met. She's awesome. We're going to be cultivating our relationship. I'm going to get to know her, see how I can help her. She's probably going to show me this creator studio thing. That's cultivating the relationship, getting to know each other. When you go to convert, the convert is the opportunity. How can you serve each other? Maybe you'll maybe you'll collaborate on a project. Maybe you'll be an associate producer on a show. Maybe you'll do an introduction for them. Maybe they'll do an introduction for you. Maybe you'll be on their Facebook show, their LinkedIn live show, their YouTube channel, or a podcast, or a speaker at an in-person event, because those are coming back. Or an online event. The opportunity is not always to convert into a client. We need to think convert into an opportunity. Maybe they're going to be a brand ambassador. So this happened recently. This gentleman had been following me for a while, and his name would come up in my LinkedIn bakery group and on LinkedIn. And I was like, who is this guy? He's commenting, huh? So I got to know Bez, who is this amazing recruiter and talent manager. And he's actually going to be on the panel discussion of LinkedIn Remastered, my upcoming masterclass series. That's cultivating the relationship and converting that into an opportunity for both of us.
I love that. Absolutely love that. And you put in some best practices at the same time. We love having that this is something that you can say. This is how you can connect as a human. And I think another principle that you have too, which really flows from this question, which is, what are the benefits of having a diverse network, right? Yeah. To really go out of your way to build a diverse network.
Well, you don't want to have a flat network, right? Just everyone is in the same business. We all look alike. We all think alike. That's boring. And we're not expanding ourselves as human beings. A diverse network is going to serve you so much more. Besides just, we all have different thoughts, like on this discussion today. Christian, at the beginning, you were like, well, I'm going to say no to this, or I'm going to say yes to this. Mm-hmm. It's about being able to have a diverse network of people who might think differently than you, look differently than you, and are in different industries, so that you come together and you can collaborate. You come together to solve a problem, right? Mm-hmm. So I love LinkedIn for this, because I think, the most amazing network of connections on LinkedIn from all over the world. And I couldn't do that on any other platform and have real business connections. And some of those people are now friends. Mm-hmm. They're more than just a connection on LinkedIn. We have plans to meet up in person. So I just love having a diverse network. I think we need to think about that when we're connecting.
Yeah, those different voices can really contribute to your greater knowledge, right?
Yeah, expand your thought process. Stretch you as a human being. Because who wants a flat, boring, look-alike network? Is that what you want to be? Because if that's what your network looks like, what is it? You are the result, the sum of the 6 people, right? So if you're if I'm with 6 blonde girls, I'm sorry. I mean, I like being blonde, but do I just want to be with 6 blonde girls?
Right. Yeah. I've been expanding my LinkedIn network this week and doing it the hard way. Everybody I know, everybody getting a unique message saying, hey, it's been a while. We haven't seen each other at events. Yeah, and it's great. And LinkedIn is offering, I think what's nice too for the diversity piece is look at what LinkedIn is offering you as diversity too. There's been some people that I know from sailing that are in this obscure field. And I had no idea. I just know them as, someone I met at the dock, right? LinkedIn is saying, hey, you know them, and this is what they do for a living. And I can say, wow, you do that? So, yeah, it's very good.
After our call today, like at 10 o'clock, I'm speaking to a guy in India about being on his show. That's pretty amazing. Like, okay, yeah, let's talk. I did the application and they have a pre-qualifying interview. I'm like, cool. You're very set up in your process. I can respect that, right?
Right. Well, I think we could keep going on and on and on about building our network. But how about we wrap up with one thing that someone should do today to make it easier for people to connect with them?
Oh, one thing. The one
Maybe
thing
in their profile?
Yeah. So probably update your profile. People tend to write above, right? And I need you to write to one person, right from your heart. Again, humanize your about you section. Don't fill it with everything that you do from a professional standpoint. We definitely want that in that, but tell your story. Right? Write your story of why you're doing what you do. Did you see a void? Was there a need? Did you go through something that led you to the path that you're on now? I didn't set out to be a career coach. When I was 49, I was losing my job and I had to go through an outsourcing service. And I was like, okay, this is antiquated and can be done better. And I do what Mary does best. I dove into research mode and I created my own program that I put myself through. And then I was like, oh, I can do this for other people. And so that's really how I got my start. So tell your story in your about you section and humanize it. Right from your heart, right to one person, and you'll get more eyes on your profile and you'll get more quality connections. We're not trying to be Kim Kardashian over here on LinkedIn. It's not about your Instagram numbers or your LinkedIn connections, right? What I want you guys to think about is quality connections.
Excellent point. Yeah. And it kind of goes back to, I think, what we talked about earlier, which was, Facebook Bulletin. We talked about how people were, you've got a number of influential writers, for example, they're now being given an additional platform. And you don't see those people publishing every single day, for example, or maybe they are published. Everybody tends to publish differently. Some people will publish once a month. Some will publish once a week. Some will publish once a day if that's their thing. But what they focus on is they focus on the quality of the content. So they're not like, just put it all out there, see what sticks. They're very deliberate with their messaging and what they're publishing.
Yeah. It's always quality over quantity. You do need to post on LinkedIn to stay top of mind and tip of tongue. When you only post, every other week, you're not going to get the ROI that you want. When I'm working with my clients, I'm like, twice a week is a great starting point. Quality.
Right.
Quality.
Exactly.
Right.
So what we're going to do real quick, by the way, Mary Fain Brandt. So thanks a lot for starters, for joining us and for sharing your insight. We'll make sure we put your additional notes in the blog post recap that will go out over the weekend. What we want to do one last thing here, Sarah. I think we got time for this, right?
I think we have just a couple minutes. And I know that Mary is also a big fan of this tool. So tool of the week is Airtable. And I have to say, diving into Airtable, I've used a lot of different project management tools. I've used like all the other people, and I've worked in Agile, Scrum, web app design scenarios where we use the very, very complex ones. But I have to say, Airtable brings together a lot of the great features that we all have with Google Docs and file sharing and Trello boards and Kanban boards and calendaring, and puts it into one really pretty, I have to say. It's a very beautiful user interface for teams to work on projects together, to share ideas, to schedule out platforms, and to keep all of the content together. So whether that's graphics or spreadsheets or Word docs, together with all of those notes, just as the big agile firms are doing, you can get that kind of software package at a really reasonable rate. And Mary, I think you're an Airtable user, is that right?
I love Airtable. Yvonne Hyman turned me on to that a while ago. I use it with my VA, my branding person. I like it because it's strategic, right? You can create your different boards. So we probably have 10 different boards created, but it's also visual. So I'm a visual person. I need to see it to understand the whole picture. So we can have the links. So we use it for social media posting. I use it for my clients. You know, they have their own board, and that's where we put, here's the topic, here's a link, here's the image. The thing is, you can have everything all together. So we use it a lot for social media, and then blog ideas. I have a whole blog board. I just, it's so easy to use. I can onboard someone to use it. And we came from Trello. I think Trello, you know, I've used a lot. So I use Trello. So it's similar to that, but it's like Trello and Excel on steroids.
Right. Right. And it also has a contact database aspect to it too, which is great.
Like
so that, a little bit of a CRM. I didn't dive too deep into that aspect of it, but you know, there's sometimes that I'm working on a publicity campaign, and it seems like every fall we recreate the contact list because someone has forgotten someone somewhere. And because we're all a remote team working with different organizations coming together, we don't have that shared intranet or shared server or shared OneDrive or whatever it is. So being able to replicate, but also keep track of all of the connections and all of the data, the files, the assets that you need for different campaigns, I think is great. I think it's a great product for marketers, especially because things like Jira and Basecamp, some of those just don't really work well for marketing. They're just too technical based, and clients have a hard time using them. And that's
the thing. They're not as easy to use. And Airtable's very affordable. So the solopreneur, the small team, I think it's a great tool. A great tool for the solopreneurs and the small business teams. It's easy to use and it's affordable.
Right. And it keeps your project mobile too. So you're not tied to the sticky notes in the wall of your office. You know, I'm now in a different place. I think on Social Chatter, I've been in 3 different places now. So I can keep my Airtable for wherever I am. And I think there is an iPad app or a tablet app. I've heard that some of the functionality might be a little wonky on the tablets, but you can certainly use a browser too. So you can have that smaller screen and work on some brainstorming if you're sitting outside or something like that.
Definitely.
I love it. And
by the Airtable, it's free. And then there's also a paid option for Airtable as well. So it's free. It gets to the plus side and the pro side. And we're looking at, $10, I think, a month per seat.
Yeah.
Per seat
for plus, and then 20 for pro. Which version are you using, Mary?
Oh, that's a great question. Probably the pro. I have to think about it. I started on the free version though. So if someone's watching this, I started on the free version. And then as my business grew and I was like, oh, this is an amazing tool. And then I bought, I had to buy seats for my VA and a client. So I think I just pay annually for everything. I hate monthly bills, hate them. So I think I'm on the pro version now.
Right. And it sounds like some of the fields, you may lose some formula fields too with some of the spreadsheets. So if you're doing a lot of a lot of formulas in spreadsheets, a lot of whatever weird formulas you might have for adding, subtracting, multiplying. It may not work all that well, but everything else seems great. So,
and just remember, I mean, so if you want to, for example, be able to access some of the historical views, things like that, the free version is not going to give you that. There's not a run. The run history, is 2 weeks versus the Plus and the Pro, which is 6 months and a year, for example.
Right.
And then there's also a number of integrations and app access and some views.
Yeah, there's lots of integrations.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think you get the block piece on the free version. So you may not get that full look of a Kanban board with the free version.
Definitely. Very
great tool though.
So
yeah.
So let's see. Oh, so we've got a question. They want to see, can we show Airtable on screen? I guess what part do we want to show? Do you have any ideas? Or I
think if you can show us a screenshot of the calendar, I think what's interesting about the once you build a little part of your project. So if you think about Trello, you have a Trello board and you have an item. So Airtable has an item like you might have in a Trello board, but you open it up and that's where you can have the linked assets. You can have more notes. There's lots of pieces to it. But if you change, and that will show up on your calendar if you actually put a date tied to that. So let's say you have a social media post. You put all the assets on it. You know who's going to write it. You make the assignments and things like that. And then it's dated. It goes onto your Airtable calendar. And then you say, oh, wait a second. We need to move this to 3 days later because something happened today. You can drag that over and it automatically updates everywhere across Airtable, which is nice. Awesome.
Yeah. And so there's, again, this is the grid view of your content, the calendar view of all your content. So you have, all of your items here arranged, the gallery view if you're a visual person, and the Kanban style as well. So
yeah, fantastic.
So I hope that answers your question, Erica. If it doesn't, you can check it out at socialchefs.com/go/Airtable, all one word. I think this has been fantastic, actually. So
a lot of information, a lot of useful information too. So I've got some stuff to go check out after the show with the tips and the updates that you guys were telling us about. I'm impressed. Always good stuff.
So
that's what we try to be.
We'll have one last question for you, and that's what's the best place for people to get in touch with you, Mary?
Let me think about that. Oh, LinkedIn. Yeah. So if you guys want to connect with me, please connect with me on LinkedIn. And don't forget to send me a note say, hey, I saw you on Social Chefs. I would love to connect with you. You don't have to say anything else. Don't overthink those little messages. That's what most people do. Like, what am I going to write? It needs to be perfect. Like, hey, Mary, saw you on Social Chefs. Would love to connect with you.
Fantastic.
That's tough to say for me. Social Chefs.
Yep.
Or you could just say Social Chatter, the show. As well.
Or Social Chatter. I'm sorry. Social Chatter, the show.
So Sarah, how about you? How can people get in touch with you if they want to, learn more about you and,
Yeah. Well, why don't we say LinkedIn? We're on LinkedIn today with Mary. Let's go to LinkedIn. So my handle across social media is Sarah Monroe VT. Right below my picture, you'll see how to spell it. And again, let me know, message me, do the best practices, message me, let me know that you saw me on Social Chatter, and I will be happy to link to you.
Fantastic. And let me go and get that up, by the way. There you go. That's Sarah's channel on LinkedIn. And then I'm Christian Karasiewicz. And if you want to get in touch with me as well, at Social Chefs, pretty much on every social media platform. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn as well if you want to. Again, just reference how we know one another. With that, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Just a couple of quick notes. The blog post will go out over the weekend, socialchefs.com/SC298. There's also an Alexa flash briefing that you can listen to with all your Alexa devices. You just have to go to socialchefs.com/Alexa. You can check it out. You can leave a review there as well. It's a much more condensed version of this show. And then Lastly, we're going to be back next Thursday. We'll make sure I got the date right. July 8th.
With Dorian.
Yeah,
I love Dorian.
Doreen.
And that's going to be at 8 a.m.
Doreen.
Eastern Standard Time, youtube.com/social chefs or facebook.com/social chefs. Again, thanks a lot for tuning in. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you all next week. Bye, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.